Hi there and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video I wanted to break down January, where I've been playing a couple of games, and of course if you're interested in the types of games I'm playing or you want to explore other games that I'll be sharing on this video and future videos where I'll be doing breakdown for every single month, well, you're in the right place because I'll be talking about them today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi and welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Vashal and this is Telplay. And today, as I've said, I'll be doing the breakdown for January, where I'll be talking about all the games that I played last month, some of the best ones, some of the worst ones. So there's something for everything. I'll try to keep it short. I know that these videos can really get quite complicated, so this review is gonna be more complex for games that I probably like much more and games that I didn't like that much last month. So that being said, let's get into the list. And also, if you are interested, I'll be sharing at the end of the video bonus. I know that I do that for listing games. There will be something that I will be talking maybe as a mention or something that I'm looking forward to do in the next month. And of course, since this is February, we're in the middle of it, there's a couple of things that I'm working on, I'm playing and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that because I'll be talking in the bonus as well. So the first game that I played this January was The Room. It is a puzzle game, specifically where you get to uncover different areas, different rooms of the box. The boxes are very complex, and it was a really good time because I did spend it with Armea. We both sit next to each other and we tried to figure out the puzzles. The fun part of it was the fact that the exploration of each box as they opened up more secrets. It was very unique, very well made, animations were great, and I had a really good time playing that game. We did a chapter by chapter kind of playthrough, so Armea played one chapter, I played the second one, and we tried to do it like that. We altered it while we were sitting around doing that. The overall story of the game wasn't that complex. Basically, you're trying to figure out what's going on in a box. That box opens another box and stuff like that, and there's a secret at the end, and that leads to the sequel that currently Armea and I wanted to play. But what we did, we found the game a little bit much more boring than the first one. So overall, I thought that the game was really well crafted, and I'm talking about the first one. It had great puzzles and a lot of fun exploring. I gave it a masterpiece as a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, because it was one of the most complex puzzle games that we played. So we definitely enjoyed that, and it was a very fun game to complete. It took us roughly about 3 hours together, and you didn't have to backtrack or do anything like that. There were a couple of things that were skippable, but you could always go back and do that one, but we didn't have a problem with that. So overall, the game was fairly simple, and I highly recommend trying it out, especially if you're a completionist and you want to complete something easy. It is definitely gonna be a great game to pick up. That being said, let's talk about the next game. So the next game that we're gonna talk about is gonna be Need for Speed Most Wanted, the 2012 version, which I played it because of a challenge. I had it on my backlog quite some time now, and eventually I managed to play it. I've been a Need for Speed fan as a kid. I really enjoy the first ones, especially Most Wanted, the classic ones. So playing this game was like going back to the whole franchise and having a great time. Although I had a couple of things that were, I would say, an issue, especially if I was comparing it with the original. And I'm pretty sure you've probably seen a lot of people like playing the original and then comparing it to 2012, and they're definitely different in all scales. The graphics and all great, you have a lot of cars to choose from and all that, but there's a couple of things that are missing, such as the main story feels like rushed and barely anything is there. The whole Most Wanted kind of features where you were connecting with some of the enemies was a little bit much more shallow. You had no cutscenes whatsoever that you could actually see other characters and stuff like that. Mainly the cutscenes would be of other cars, so it would be like very bare minimum in that degree. The racing, they were also missing, except if you had the DLCs. So if you had a couple of DLCs, you would have drifting added and additional cars that would make, you know, the whole racing much more fun. I've spent overall roughly about 43 hours to complete this game. This game does not have any achievements on Steam. It has in-game achievements, so they're fairly easy to get. Can be grindy if you're doing things the wrong way, as I've done. For example, fair note is to not get every single car and try to max it out. That will be way too tedious and it wouldn't get to your objective. So follow the indications that are giving you the objectives over there, and it should be easier to complete a lot sooner than I did. I did enjoy it, and in order for me to complete it, I had to also get the DLCs and get all the achievements for those DLCs separately, so that would feel like that. I did it because I really want to play the game completely. I wanted to see what it was all about, and since I got this game on a big discount, I got it at 90% or something like that. I barely paid like £2-3 on it, and then when the DLC was out, there was no discount or anything like that, so I got it for about £11 or something like that, and I got everything in there because I wanted to experience the game fully. As I said, I was a fan of the franchise, and I still continue to be one. It's just that I understand that the franchise is no longer as it used to be in popularity, in gameplay. There's a couple of things that is missing out and all that stuff. Overall, I gave this game as a score decent, which is 6 out of 10. I know it's a small score. I found that a lot of things were very tedious, especially trying to complete a couple of races, and there were a lot of them that you had to repeat and stuff like that. Changing cars was fairly easy. Once you got them, you could always swap in between. Police chases were not that interesting in my opinion, and overall there was a lack of story in comparison to the original, so I can't say that I really enjoyed it fully, and I really wish that this game had more to offer in that regard. Sadly, that's all that it was with this game. There was also no tuning that really bugged me, and I mean by visual tuning, you couldn't put neons and do all kinds of stuff that you could do in the original, so it was something more of a downgrade than anything else, and yeah, it was kind of disappointing in that level. The only thing that I liked was the challenging part where you compare your scores with your friends on Steam, and then you would have them compared, and it would be much more easier for you to kind of see like how are you performing and stuff like that. I did like that one. I know that there's another multiplayer feature that you can go and connect and tune your cars, I think, but I haven't tried it out and I can't say enough. Maybe somebody else in the comments can help me with that. That being said, let's talk about the next game. The next game that I switched up and I was playing through on my Steam Deck while I was still playing Need for Speed is To the Moon, and I really enjoyed this game. It's a short, I would say maybe a walking simulator with a narrative, story driven, or maybe visual novel if you want to call it like that, where you play as two doctors that are trying to fulfill a dream of a dying man, and it is a very touching story. I don't want to go too much into details. This game has been on my backlog quite some time and I truly enjoyed it. It was really fun, and it helped me out to take out my Steam Deck and start using it more often because I've not been using it that often. That's why I also made a video for the Steam Deck, so if you haven't checked that one out, you should go and watch it after that. I spent roughly about 10 hours in order for me to complete the game, and it's very easy to complete really. All you have to do is go through the story. Once you finish the game, you will get the achievement. There are 2 additional DLCs that are for free if you are into learning more about the characters and having a good time, because they're very well written, they're very likable characters, and the story overall is very interesting. So I definitely recommend playing this game. I gave it an excellent, which is a 9 out of 10, and the reason why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 was the fact that the visual really bugged me so much, and I don't mean about the graphics but about the fact that there was no resolution support for any kind of monitor. So playing it on the Steam Deck was the most viable thing because everything was so small and you had black boxes all over the place, and you know me, I have an ultra wide screen, and seeing all that black boxes all over the place and just seeing a very small screen, it can get really annoying. So that's why I did it and I gave it that, and of course I wanted more out of it and I want more from the franchise, so I put the rest of the franchises, the rest of the games, A Bird Story and others that I want to complete in this quarter, so that would be January to March, and I hope to get to A Bird Story as well and complete that one this month. And I will probably talk in March regarding February, but I will see how I manage my time as I'm playing Just Cause right now. But that being said, I don't want to spoil too much what's going to happen in February. I did enjoy the game, and I highly recommend if you want a short story or you want to play something sitting on the couch and just chilling. It's very relaxing, super fun to follow up, and really enjoyable. So can't recommend it enough, and I really wish that I would have given it a masterpiece because I really like the idea behind it. I like the story. So I definitely looking forward for the sequels. The next game that I'm gonna talk about is Unpacking. This is another game that is very short to complete. It takes roughly about 3 hours, maybe even less, depending on how quickly you go through the whole puzzles and how quickly you pick up on managing stuff. It is a very simple puzzle game where you organize things, and if you are a person that have OCD or you are a perfectionist and you like things to be tidy and stuff like that, you can definitely take your time with this game and you might even enjoy it. There's a couple of things I liked and a couple of things I didn't like about this game. Obviously, the main thing that really drawn me to this game is the visuals. I really liked how the game looked like, and it was very nostalgic. Second part that I really liked, it was the moments where you were decorating. Basically, it would bring you back a couple of decades back, trying to go through the life of this girl, unknown girl that you are, and basically learn more of her background story. And you would revisit places and obviously objects that were particularly for that period of time, and I really liked that one. It was very nostalgic to see a couple of things that I used to have in my house or hear other people having about 20 years ago and maybe even 10 years ago. So it was really cool to see that, and it was fairly cute in that kind of regard and very simple to do. The puzzles were not too complicated, and to complete, as I've said, it can be done fairly easily. There's a couple of things you might have missable that you can do by simply checking if you want a guide, so that you go on each chapter and complete those, because they're definitely gonna be missable, such as placing objects one to another or interacting with particular objects and stuff like that. Parts that I didn't like about the game was the fact that at some point, as you got further into the game, as you got to the latest stages, the game kind of became fairly repetitive and boring. There was no sort of gameplay elements that would change and wrap up a little bit differently. So it did feel like it was getting fairly boring, and because of that, I felt like those 3 hours that I spent with the game really felt like a drag. I was like really hoping I would finish the game a lot sooner. So I personally am not the person that likes to organize things, but I do like them organized, and at some point I lost my temper and I didn't stay that much trying to fiddle with all the things. I just put them where I thought that it would be alright. And the second one that was a little bit much more confusing was the fact that objects in the game were a little bit harder to identify, especially if you never encountered them in real life, and then trying to figure out where they were supposed to be. That could be really frustrating because you would place them all over the place and it would make no sense, and eventually you'd find out. For me particularly, there was a whiteboard that you would have to put on the fridge, and that was the most annoying part because I never expected that it's gonna be on the fridge. I expected it to be in the living room or other places, but there you go, it was there, and it was really confusing. Some of the objects you can put them under the bed or stuff like that, and you can simply get rid of them as being complicated, so it's not that. And also I found out that there's a couple of modes where you place wherever you want, but I didn't fiddle with any game modes or any filters or anything like that. I just played the game as it was intended on the base level, and then I moved forward because I certainly didn't enjoy the game as much. I gave the review as decent. I thought that the game was fairly okay for what it was. Also the fact that the price point, if you're trying to pick this game for its full retail price, you're gonna get scammed in my opinion, because it really doesn't offer that much content. And when I got it on the bundle, I was kind of pleased because I was like, yes, I can at least try now the game out. It was on my backlog for such a long time, in my wish list of course, and yes, I can definitely play it and not feel like I've been scammed by paying 15 bucks on a game that lasts just 2 to 3 hours to complete. And yeah, and it doesn't offer that much, so definitely to keep in mind that if you got it through the bundle, then definitely play it, try it out and see if you like it. Obviously, as I said, it's very easy to complete. That being said, let's go to the next game. And the final game on this list that I really enjoyed, and it came as a surprise, a sad surprise in a way, is The Crew. I found out that in January that the game will be closing in March of the 31st, and I was really disappointed because I bought the game in June of 2023 in hopes that one day I will pick it up and play. As I said, I am a casual fan of racing games. I really enjoy them for what they are, especially the arcade games where you get to be chased by the police and have races in the city and drag races and drifting. I really enjoy that diversity instead of going for a simulation where you go ahead and manage all the things that are complex and stuff like that. I don't like that much that kind of style of racing, so I like the arcade one, and this game was definitely a type of game that I really enjoyed, and I'll be comparing it a lot with Need for Speed in this regard because this game done 10 times better than Need for Speed Most Wanted in many regards. So after playing Need for Speed Most Wanted, I knew that the game is not gonna be the greatest game ever, but playing the crew without knowing exactly what the game offers and just knowing that it's a multiplayer game with racing, I was not expecting too much about the game, to be honest, especially since now if you go on Steam it's bombarded with negative reviews, so you don't really know if the game is actually good, and you can still play it if you have it. So if you're coming across this video, I can tell you just now, if you want to play it and play the campaign as I did, pick it up and play it. It's very good. I gave this game a very good, which is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I regret not being able to play it a lot sooner so I can complete it. This game does not have achievements on Steam. It has achievements on Ubisoft, and I honestly didn't bother to go for the completion, knowing that the game is gonna close and knowing that you're gonna lose all progress. I played only the campaign and I definitely enjoyed the story. It was a very good story for a racing game, and it was probably better than Need for Speed Most Wanted and other games from the series that really had a good story. You play as this guy called Alex, and he gets framed for the murder of his brother and gets sent to jail, and the FBI is eventually helping you out by investigating your case and finding out that you're not actually responsible for this. So you're working with the FBI in order for you to catch the bad guys who done all sorts of crimes. This reminds me a lot of Need for Speed Undercover. It's very similar in that kind of vibe, and the characters are great, the cinematics are impressive, and the overall visuals for the game, it's stunning in my opinion. For a game that came out a decade ago, that is multiplayer, has a lot of good quality improvements, good gameplay elements, a lot of things to explore. One thing that probably wasn't that interesting for me was picking up and trying a different kind of cars. I only bought one, and that was the very first car that I bought, which was the Ford Mustang. By the way, that is my favorite car, so I'll be sticking with that one in a lot of games that I play in racing games. I just love the muscle cars, so I'll definitely go with that one as an option, and I went with that one throughout the campaign until I got to level 52, and I finished the game in a roughly about 23 hours, so no completion or anything like that, although for me I would have probably spent much more. There's a couple of things that I bought, like the DLCs and stuff like that, that add a couple of extra missions that you can do, and yeah, the game is massive if you considering the fact that you're playing across the whole US, and you start from Detroit and then you go to New York and then to Florida, and then you go across the country to Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and then San Francisco. And big as it was as impressive. The amount of details Ubisoft put in creating the world is really sad to see that game is closing, and there's no option for people to play this game in single player with the DLCs having in place that would add additional gameplay features, or maybe have some sort of local multiplayer that you can switch up. I think Ubisoft really messing up on this occasion for making this game just die off after so much hard work put into this game. I'm honestly saddened for the developers who have put so much work, so much blood and sweat to make the world as vibrant and so beautiful, and exploring everything was super impressive. And I'm simply bummed down to see that publisher decided just to simply shut it off and close all access to it, and simply lose a game that has so much potential. It doesn't matter if you play it now or maybe you play it in the next 5 to 10 years, I think the game would still hold up. Now, there's a couple of things that I didn't like. Obviously, the tedious of trying to get all things, and Ubisoft is very good at making you collect everything. It's like a collectathon all over comfort of the place. Doesn't matter if you play Assassin's Creed or you're playing Far Cry or you're playing The Crew, you're gonna have to go and collect all kinds of stuff. And here you don't have towers, but you have antennas that will reveal the area for you. So what I did, I invested points in discovering more and having much more array where I was driving, so I can see the whole map. And by the end of my playthrough, I really managed to complete the map almost entirely to have a full visibility. Cool thing about it is like you teleport here and there for the game if you like to do that. But yeah, that can be tedious still if you're planning to complete this game in this limited time that you have. So if you're watching this video right now and you were considering should I play, yes, you should definitely play this game. One thing that I wanted to point out is the controls of the cars is a little bit wanky. You have a lot of problems with steering, and some cars will be much more heavier to steer and it will be very frustrating to control. But eventually you will get used to it. With upgrades, you will eventually have cars managing a little bit, handling much more better. Of course, if you put some upgrades in some of the handling points and perks, that will change as well. So that was my problem with it. As I said, visuals were stunning. The cars, the upgrades were great. You had a couple of upgrades for each car. So for example, as I said, I went with the Ford Mustang. You have the sport version, the off-track road version, you have the circuit kind of racing, you have the drifting kind of upgrade. Every single upgrade really changed the way the car looked, and it made the car feel like it was transforming all the time. And the amount of details put in how the car really looked like, I really love. So once again, kudos to the developers who worked on Crew. I don't know how the Crew 2 is gonna be like, and I hope that I'm not gonna pick it up and play it when the server is closing 3 months before that. But I definitely enjoyed it, and I think it's worth picking up if you own the game for free, or if you bought it, now is the time to play it. You will not regret it. The story is very good. I enjoyed it, and by very good I mean very good for a racing game, and you're definitely gonna have a fun time trying out the game and exploring the US. If you've never been to US or you live in US but you haven't been traveling too much, definitely gonna have a fun time exploring and finding out locations. And yeah, geography is gonna be a main thing that you're gonna be learning in that game. So I definitely recommend it. That being said, that was a list of the games that I wanted to talk about. Now I'll be talking about a bonus game that I'm currently playing, but I've started in January. So for me, January was a really busy and trying to play so many games, and I started playing a mobile game that I'm currently playing, and I'm fairly addicted to it in a good or bad sense, if you want to put it like that. Normally I don't play these kind of mobile games, and normally we don't talk about mobile games on this channel, but if you've been looking for something that you wanted to play, well, definitely this bonus is probably gonna pique your interest. I like games where I'm more involved in mobile games. Now I do like strategy games and I like turn-based combat and stuff like that, but I do like to see that the games don't seem like a copy-paste kind of game. So the game that I enjoyed was Mech Arena. This game was made and published by Plarium. I don't know which are the developers, but they are the same publishers as Raid Shadow Legends. You probably heard about that game. It is overly hyped by so many channels. There were so many ads and stuff like that. So yeah, and I picked it up. I played it because of an app that I use called Misplay, where you earn money for playing mobile games. It was recommended to me and I tried it out, and I'm hooked, and I've been hooked for ever since. You basically have a mech combat of 5v5, or can go for conquering objectives, or 2v2, or maybe tournaments that like you have a free-for-all, where you have different kinds of mechs that you upgrade, and you give weapons and different kinds of weapons to use in combat. And everything is active, and everything takes roughly about 5 minutes. And that was the thing that really hooked me, because I played it in my break time while I was at work for 2 matches, or maybe 1 match, depending on how long it would take me. And I would play that game, and I would know that I finished it, and I wouldn't have to worry about being back late and having that kind of issues. Also great if you spend it on the toilet 5 minutes and you pop out. So it is great for that, you know. Everybody does that, we know that. So you either watch something or you're playing your mobile games. So it's great for that. You know very well that you're not gonna be spending too much time and the match is gonna end. and you're done. Visually, it looks really good for a mobile game, both on mobile and you can play this one on PC. I started playing it more on PC because I prefer the controls. It's very difficult to see what you're shooting, and sometimes you're pressing the fire button while you're controlling. So I was thinking about a backbone for that particular game and other games of that kind of nature, and you're fully involved in it, you're fully in control, and that's what I like about it. It's not like typical AFK idle game where you just sit there and wait. So you're fully involved, play, you drop in, you drop out, you're done. And I loved it. I spent a couple of bucks on the game. It's free to play, obviously, and I got myself 2 mechs which were really good. One of them is called Onyx. It's attacker, he's super strong, he has a rocket launcher and he's doing a lot of damage. So I feel like I'm going in like Rambo or Arnold Schwarzenegger and then just destroying the whole map because he's a beast and he can take a lot. And you can clearly see I'm talking about quite excited. And the other one is Scorpius, which is like a guy that can launch like missiles in the air and hit the target above. So basically it goes above the target, hits over the walls and stuff like that. It's not always gonna hit, obviously, because there will be covers and there will be directions where the rockets will hit, but overall I really enjoyed it. And he has like a weapon that shoots like a green projectile and it has area of effect, and whatever it touches it will damage them. So if they're next to the wall trying to hit me, I can hit in that direction. The projectile is gonna go through and it will damage them by just scraping them a little bit. So yeah, it's really fun. You also have snipers, you also have shotguns that you can use, and you can equip your mechs to have either 2 weapons or 1 weapon in one hand or different kind of weapons. And each mech has different kind of abilities. Onyx, as I said, he has a rocket launcher. The other attacker, Scorpius, has like rocket launchers that go above missiles and stuff like that. Then you have mechs that have drones that they will place down as turrets and they will fight for you. Others will heal. Others will be able to move fast, to jump and stuff like that. So it's very active and it's very chaotic, but it's very fun. And yeah, you're probably gonna hear my honest thoughts more about the game, or maybe a short rundown if I'm still playing by the end of February. Right now it's in the middle of February, so I'm still playing it and I'm definitely enjoying it. So yeah, if you've been looking for a mobile game that you wanted, maybe try this one out. Give you all the information in the description. If you want to use Misplay to also earn money, you can definitely do so, and we both win in that kind of regards. And you're gonna play the game, get money, and you get yourself whatever games you want to get. But that being said, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you did, hitting that like button helps me a lot. Also, subscribing to the channel helps tremendously. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this later on, thank you so much for being there, supporting me and helping me out to achieve this goal. Now my objective is to obviously increase my watch time, so definitely I will be working on improving my content and making it better, so more people are gonna obviously watch it and enjoy it and whatnot. That being said, thank you so much for watching. This is my list of breakdown of January. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop it in the comments, it will help me tremendously. But once again, my name is Vashra. This has been Tellplay video, and as always, take care, stay safe, and happy gaming.